So I'm going to talk to you about the MOOC entitled Diversity and Inclusion, Languages, Literatures, Cultures and Social Cohesion. This MOOC was created as part of the Progetto di Eccellenza from our department. The Progetto di Eccellenza, which was entitled Dive in Diversity and Inclusion. So I'm going to say a little bit about this MOOC then. It's designed for all students of the Department of Languages, and it's accessible through registration on the University of Bologna site, and the link is in this QR code. It's a series of lessons that makes use of short videos and slides, alternating between a general approach to the topic and case studies. And after following these lessons, you'll be able to understand how concepts of diversity and inclusion permeate various aspects, phenomena, and texts of languages, literature, and culture, highlighting their social impact. The course is divided into 5 weeks, and each week is further split into 6 modules. The course format is flexible. The lessons are not organised in a linear or hierarchical manner and can be taken in any order based on your own interests. And once you've completed the MOOC and completed successfully the quizzes at the end of each week, you'll receive a certificate of completion. I have to say here that most of the lessons are in Italian. Should be no problem for you, and some of them are actually in English. So 5 weeks, 6 modules per week, that's 30 modules. Let's have a look about the contents of each week. So week 1 focuses on words, and you'll be introduced to topics like intraculturality, identity and social space, cultural memory, storytelling and self-narration, territory, mobility, migrations, word, image and multimedia. In week 2, the focus is languages, so participants will explore phenomena like linguistic biographies, structure, contact, norm and deviation from the norm, self-translation, learning, understanding and transmitting. Week 3, the topic is times, so participants will reflect on language and text, sources, archives, memory, stories and words, and tradition. In week 4, the topic is meanings, so participants will delve into connections between forms, meanings and icons, translation and interpretation, orality and writing, culture and power, reading, author and the subject. And finally, week 5, the topic is practices, so participants will address the issues of positioning, heritage, text and image, communicating languages and cultures, gender, and public space. At the end of the MOOC, each participant will have acquired the ability to make a critical appraisal and analysis of the connections between languages, literatures and culture on one side and society on the other. They'll be able to address the themes covered in their degree programme with a solid foundation of cross-disciplinary knowledge, as well as shared concepts and methods. The MOOC is completely free of charge and entitles you as participant to a certificate of completion once you've successfully completed the quizzes at the end of each week. Here's an example.
Welcome! In this video, I will introduce you to multimodal discourse analysis, a fast-growing field of discourse studies encompassing several approaches to the study of language as a multimodal phenomenon. All communication is multimodal, as communication always involves the use of multiple semiotic resources at the same time for purposes of meaning-making. Like I'm doing now, I'm using both verbal resources, such as speech and text, and non-verbal resources, such as gesture, gaze, posture, but also pitch, fonts, images, colors, to create and convey meanings. Until the 1980s, linguistics strongly focused on the study of what we may call language per se, speech or text. It was especially after the explosive growth of media, initially television, that language studies have increasingly pointed out that language is inherently multimodal. For some researchers, the term multimodality simply refers to analog or digital media, but this is not quite correct. Modes are defined as semiotic resources for making meaning, like speech, gesture, and font, while media refers to the tools that materialize meanings, like newspapers, television, digital tools. The term MDA was coined in 1996 by Gunther Kress and Theo van Leeuwen. In their seminal book, Reading Images, The Grammar of Visual Design, they drew upon Michael Halliday's functional theories on meaning and social semiotic approach to language. Let's see this in more detail. First, they adopt a social semiotic approach to communication. Social, because language is embedded in a social context. Therefore, at any time, language reflects and promotes power relations. Semiotic, as communication always involves the concurrence of multiple semiotic resources to convey meanings. Second, according to Halliday's metafunctional approach to meaning, language always makes use of three functions to make meaning, or metafunctions. Representational, what does it represent? Interactional, what relation is construed between speaker and hearer, or viewer and viewed? Compositional, how are the components of the text, image, video arranged? Let's have a look at this example provided by Kress and van Leeuwen in their book. From an interactional perspective, this image creates a visual form of direct address by the means of three modes. Text, as it addresses the viewer explicitly with a visual U. Then, the participant's gaze and gesture demand that the viewer enter into some kind of imaginary relation with him or her. It constitutes an image act. The advent of Web 2.0 and the use of digital media have revolutionized communication practices. We can now easily consume, create, and share media messages that involve multimodal representations. Concurrently, multimodal research rapidly expanded in the mid-2000s onwards, and a variety of approaches have been developed. One of the greatest challenges facing scholars in this field is to collect, annotate, and analyze our number of multimodal texts, which are made of increasingly multiple resources. Think of Instagram Reels, for example. Therefore, multimodal studies are increasingly relying on digital technologies to support their research. Since our daily communication increasingly takes place through multimodal text, our perceptual experience is increasingly framed by such representations, to the point that they contribute to include or exclude certain groups of people from what we perceive as closely related rather than unrelated categories. This case study conducts an MDA of media representations of migrants in online pictures. We particularly focus on pictures of migrants stranded at the Belarus-Poland border in 2021. The method used in this case study is based upon the procedure used by Berber Sardinia to analyze social media postings about climate change. First, the keywords Belarus, Poland, border, crisis were used to start a search on Google Image search engine, and the first 200 images were downloaded. Then, the Google Cloud Vision API was used to automatically assign labels to the images using pre-trained machine learning models. Let's focus on this one, for example. From a visual perspective, the most frequent labels are associated with indefiniteness of space, time, and people, like morning, landscape, sky, crowds, city, and event. The UCR-EL semantic analysis system was then used for undertaking the automatic semantic analysis of the text in the image's captions. Let's read one, for example. Asylum seekers set up a camp at the Bruges border post on the Polish-Kuźnica border crossing on November 15, 2021. In our corpus, the semantic tags Z, names, as for place names, M, movement, S, states, and T, time, often co-occur in captions. By linking up the semantic analysis of the caption text with the image analysis, we conclude that migrants in our corpus tend to be depicted as crowds, living in a state of geographical displacement, with a strong reference to ethnic identity, rather than showing signs of self-identity. Such an analysis may contribute to raise awareness on the impact that multimodal representations have on audiences' engagement.
Okay, why not have a look at the rest? So this QR code will take you to the department's playlist where there are a number of other videos from the MOOC, but I do suggest that you actually enroll and do the MOOC for yourself. I showed you the QR code in the previous slide. If you need any more information, here's my email. Thanks very much.